This video will talk about the quiz tool in Moodle, a commonly used tool to assess student understanding. The quiz tool allows you to conduct formative and summative assessments of student learning through many different types of questions, including multiple choice, true-false, essay, and short answer. There are typically two main reasons why you would use the quiz tool in your course. The first is that you're looking for a low-stakes formative assessment tool. So you may have provided some readings to students or created a video lecture for them or a narrated PowerPoint, and you want to make sure that they have engaged with that material. You can give a quiz directly following the video or the reading that just checks in with their understanding, gives them motivation to have engaged with that material, and also lets you know that they have read or watched what it is that you've provided and asked for them to do. Quizzes are also used for high-stakes summative assessment, so tests, very similar to a test that you would give in your classroom, a midterm, a final test, a final exam, a unit test. We use the word quiz when talking about this in Moodle because that's what the tool is called, but this is also a great tool for using for that more summative assessment where you're really looking to make sure that students understand and can demonstrate their understanding of core course concepts. The most important consideration you'll make about your quiz is whether it is formative and low stakes or summative and high stakes. And that decision will inform a lot of the settings that you will choose for your quiz. I'm not going to go over every setting, but I do want to give you some examples of the decisions that you will make. So one important quiz consideration is the timing, when the quiz opens and when the quiz closes. Within that time, students can access the quiz and then complete as many attempts as you have given them. But outside of this time frame, they will not be able to access the quiz. Time limit is also an important consideration. So if you have a very low stakes quiz where you really want students to just be practicing problems, then you probably don't even need a time limit. However, if you have a high stakes quiz, so you're using this as a test, you will probably want to set a time limit. If you don't, then the assumption is that this is an open book test. But if you set a time limit, students cannot use external materials nearly as easily. So if you have a test that has 50 questions and you set a 50-minute time limit, students will have to complete the test within that time frame. Another important setting is the number of attempts allowed on the quiz. So if this is formative and you're using this as a way for students to practice or to show their understanding in a really low stakes way, then you might want to give many attempts, or you might want to give unlimited attempts. If this is summative and you're using this as a test, you probably only want to give the students one attempt. So that means that the students can go into the quiz during the time period that it's open, but then within that time period, they only have that one attempt to take the test. It's always a good idea to try out your own quiz after you've built it. So I'm going to quickly show you how to do that. You can click on the name of your quiz, click on the gear icon, and then go to Preview. And you can take your own quiz. So this quiz happens to be very formative, so I can actually check my own understanding. And it lets me know that my answer is correct, and then it also gives me some automatic feedback that was set when we set up the quiz. I can continue on, and this is just a really good way of making sure that your quiz is working the way that you want it to. One of the great things about quizzes is that they grade themselves. So automatic grading depends on the question type, of course. For common question types such as multiple choice or true false, the quiz will grade itself because when you set up the quiz, you will have told it what the correct answer is. Short answer questions will also grade themselves because you will have put in all the acceptable answer options. One thing to keep in mind is that short answer questions have to be answered exactly as you have input them. So for example, if you ask, what is the capital of Massachusetts? And the short answer is Boston with a capital B, then students must type in Boston with a capital B. If they typed in Boston and misspelled the word or used a lowercase b, it would be marked as incorrect. And I know that it seems obvious, but I always like to point out that essay questions will have to be manually graded. That's really easy to do, but you would be going into the quiz and assigning a grade for the essay questions that you had given to students. One of the most common questions we hear about quizzes is faculty will email us and say students cannot see their grades in the gradebook yet. And we take a look, and it's almost always the review options. So these are part of quiz settings, and the review options, which I know look a little bit complicated, and we can definitely help you with this. This is how the quiz knows what to show students when. So for example, do you want students to see their grade immediately after the quiz attempt? So right after they finish that attempt, do you want them to see their grade? Do you want them to see whether their answer is correct? If yes, then we can change the review options to reflect that. If no, then the students won't see their grade and won't see the correct answer until the quiz is closed. So you have a lot of options here when it comes to how students see their grade and how students see feedback, which I won't get into in this video, but know that you have many choices. I hope this was useful for you. If you have any questions for us, please send us an email at moodlehelp@berkshirecc.edu.